Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Chuck Holton here. I am in, well, am I live or not? If you can hear me, please tell me where you're watching from. That'd be helpful. I believe I got one comment there, so I'm not sure I'm live or not. Hello. There we go. Okay. All right. I see a couple of Finland. Wow. West Virginia is the first one, though. That's great. Okay. Well, I have been rushing around all day today because I just got back from the VA. That's always a fun day, and get to go get my blood pressure checked and poked and prodded and everything. Make sure that I'm still alive. Apparently I am. So here I am on our live broadcast. Can hear. Can you hear? Somebody says they can't hear, but everybody else says they can. Okay, so I think we're good. Brazil, wow, Norway, holy smokes. Coming in from all over the planet to watch our live here on CBN today, so thank you very much for that. Glad you all are here. Let's talk about what's going on in Israel. And we're going to keep this kind of short today because it's late. And like I said, I've been running around all day. You know, it's always exciting when you go to your doctor's appointment at the VA and the guy walks in and the very first thing he says is, "You want to kill yourself?" It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, what kind of doctor's appointment is this? But I'm grateful for it at any rate. So there's a lot going on in Israel as usual. We had yesterday, the very first day since the ceasefire, where there was no appreciable rocket fire out of Gaza. There was some rocket fire from the north, and I think even from Syria, and Israel was certainly taking it to Hezbollah in the north. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But there was not really a whole lot out of Gaza. And that kind of shows that Israel is doing what they need to do to reduce the threat in Gaza. They have completed the takeover of the Jabalia, what they call refugee camp. And I always put that in scare quotes because it's not actually a refugee camp. It's a neighborhood. It's just a very densely populated neighborhood. Well, it's like a bunch of poor folks live there. It's kind of the slums of Gaza City. And it was a very hard fight for them to take it over. The IDF says that they killed 1,000 Hamas fighters in that battle over the course of just a few days. And so I'd say the IDF probably lost 8 or 10 guys in that battle over the last several days. And so that would be 100 to 1. And those are pretty good numbers. You find, though, that in any conflict, it's typically the more civilized country that has the lower death toll because they care more about human life and even the human lives of their own fighters. So in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, you want to know who cares more about human life? Well, look at the death toll. The Russians are just, they're losing sometimes up to 800 or more men a day, dead, killed in combat. The Ukrainians, they probably are losing 200 to 300 a day at the current rate, from what I can ascertain from my contacts in there. It's bad. It was bad when they were losing 100 a day. Now they're losing maybe 300 a day. But Russia is just dumping bodies into Ukraine. And so you can tell Russia does not care as much about human life as Ukraine does. And you certainly can tell that Israel cares more about human life than Hamas does, as if you needed any more convincing. Because all you have to do is look at October 7th and you could ascertain that, right? Go back before October 7th and there were lots and lots of people coming from Gaza into Israel to be treated at Israeli hospitals for free. There were nobody going into Gaza to be treated at a Gaza hospital. The likelihood of a fighter, a Hamas fighter, surviving in northern Gaza right now is very low, very low. And so they have cleared out a lot of it. Now, I want you to be able to see the combat from both sides, though. So if you go and look at my webpage, I've been putting this stuff over on my webpage at chuckholton.com. That'll take you to locals, and you can see some of the videos that I'm talking about. What you'll notice is that Hamas is putting out combat videos that are shot with GoPro cameras, things like that, by the fighters themselves. And what you'll see is them sneaking around in buildings where they can see the IDF out there in the street moving around. And they always put really cool sound effects and graphics on it that make go, whoa, you know, and like point at the IDF tank or whatever it is they're aiming at. And then you'll see them fire their weapon, whatever that is, a rifle or a rocket launcher, at the IDF troops. But then what you'll notice, if you go watch those videos, is that you never see the aftermath. You don't see destroyed IDF tanks. You very, very rarely would see a IDF soldier who is hit. And I think we can surmise from watching those videos, at least I do when I watch those videos, that they're not really having the effect they want you to think they're having. If they were blowing up lots of tanks and actually taking out tanks, you would see videos of that. You would see videos of tanks being carted off. There was one video I've seen so far in the entire war of an Israeli tank being dragged away. It was filmed, it was actually put out by Hamas, and the tank wasn't destroyed, it was just had a track blown off of it. And so it was being towed away. But they don't show the battle damage afterwards. They just show the explosion of the RPG against the tank, perhaps. But keep in mind two things. Number one, the Merkava tanks are designed to survive RPG attacks. Their armor is like, you know, this thick. And an RPG hits the side of that thing, it's going to put a dent in it, but it's not going to take it out. And the other thing is that they have this active protection system called the trophy system, which I've seen up close and personal. It's a box about this big that sits on both sides of the tank, and it's got a cover over it. But when it has a radar system, and when it detects an incoming missile, which it can do in a fraction of a second, it fires essentially a gigantic shotgun shell that fires at the incoming missile and causes the missile to explode before it actually hits the tank. So many times in the video that you watch that's put out by Hamas, when you see an explosion after they fire their rocket launcher at a Israeli tank, what you're actually seeing is not the RPG detonating against the side of the tank. You're seeing the trophy system detonate and take out the missile in a ball of flame. And it would be very, very hard to tell the difference if you didn't know what you were looking at. And Hamas is counting on that. They're counting on you not knowing the difference. And that's why we're having this conversation. So you can see some of these videos that I'm talking about right now on my website. Go to chuckholton.com and you can watch them over there. You can also see videos of what we're going to talk about next, and that's the Houthis. So it's called Operation Prosperity, something. Lloyd Austin, Defense Secretary, went to Israel and met with the Israelis, and then met with the U.S. Navy on a ship over the last few days. And what do they call it? Like Prosperity Gambit or something like that? Operation, let's see. You guys can probably find it faster than I can. Guardian. Operation Prosperity Guardian. We're guarding prosperity. Why? Because the Houthis have essentially shut down shipping through the Red Sea, which means the Suez Canal. And if a ship can't go through the Suez Canal, it's got to go all the way around the Horn of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope down there, and it's going to add about 40% to the cost of that ship full of goods. Right now, what that is mostly affecting is energy, is oil that's going to Europe. And of course, Europe's not very happy about that. So France and Spain and Great Britain and a whole bunch of European countries have all sent ships down there. And they've got a big armada of ships that's now encircling Yemen, all the way from the Indian Ocean down around to the Gulf of Aden. And they are basically there to protect the shipping that's going through there. But the ships have said, all the commercial shipping companies have said, we're not going to go through there anyway. And it's not because they don't think that that armada can protect them. It's because they will lose their insurance if they do. Peter Zion did a good video about this, talking about the economics of this when it comes to international maritime shipping. That these guys have insurance policies on their ships, and if they go through there, they lose their insurance policy. So they're not going to go through there. So either the ships right now, the commercial shipping is either parked out in the ocean waiting for some resolution to this problem, or they are going ahead and going around the Cape of Good Hope. And doing that, again, adds quite a bit of cost and quite a bit of time to these shipping routes. That's not a good thing. So it remains to be seen what the United States and Israel and Germany and Spain and France and everybody are going to do about the threat from the Houthis. The Houthis, for their part, have been bowing up to the U.S. military and to all the military ships offshore, like, yeah, you want a piece of me? Come on, let's go. And they're actually mobilizing tens of thousands of men well, I don't know what they're planning to do. Are they going to swim out to the ships and go fight them? Are you going to take on a U.S. Navy destroyer? That would be a very short and interesting battle. The Houthis have glorified speedboats and about 4 MiG fighters. I think they have 12. I don't know. But they don't have anything that could actually really threaten a U.S. ship. They have drones, they have missiles. We can shoot those down all day long. We can play that game as long as they want to play it. But I think the idea here, if it is actually to guard prosperity, they're going to have to actually take kinetic action against Yemen. And this could get interesting. Mostly because I'm not sure what they'll shoot at. Yemen is like, it'd be like going to the city dump and saying, we're going to destroy anything of value in there. There's nothing of value in there. I mean, I guess we can, focus on trying to take out their, missile silo or missile sites and stuff like that. But in reality, Yemen is a gigantic desert. It's a big dirt parking lot with a bunch of really, really poor people in it. And they've already had decades of absolutely terrible luck when it came to their economy and everything else. This is what happens, by the way. They could be Dubai, but instead they are Yemen, because this is what happens when you focus all your energy on who you hate rather than who you love. Think about that. The Palestinians have received so much aid, more than $2 billion every year, for the living memory, for every year in living memory. And what have they done with it? They focused all of that on who they hate, the Israelis, rather than focusing it on who they love. And because of that, they have nothing to show for it. And by the time the IDF is done with them, they're going to have a whole lot more than nothing to show for it, or less than nothing, I guess. The Houthis are the same way. Their very banner, their flag, is not a pretty picture or some nice colors or anything like that. It is the words "Death to Israel, death to America, God is great." I mean, it's just like it's a statement of all the people they hate. That's not a good way to ensure prosperity for your country. I don't know. I mean, these people are such zealots that I don't know that they really care about that, but that's just the truth. In Syria, of course, Iran has been pushing not only the Yemenis, but the rebels I'm talking about the Hashishabi, the Iranian-backed rebel groups inside Iraq, inside Syria, and of course Hezbollah in Lebanon. They've been funding and supporting and pushing those guys to be their proxies and attack Israel for a long time. And they've really wanted to build this Iranian crescent that goes from Tehran all the way into Lebanon across Syria. And if they could control that strip of land, this little land bridge, then they could move lots and lots of materiel through Syria into Lebanon so that the Hezbollah guys could continue their fight against Israel. But Israel's not having that. When I was in Israel 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that, I was reporting on the Israelis striking inside Syria. What were they striking at? Exactly what they're striking at now. Attempts by Iran to push weapons across into Lebanon. And that has been going on for probably more than a decade. And Israel has been taking them out for more than a decade. Israel has no problem whatsoever with taking out those airfields, convoys, whatever it is that's trying to transport weapons into Lebanon. Now, they already took out the airports, almost every airport in Syria at this point, or at least in Syria that's controlled by the Syrian army. Not so much in the Kurdish-controlled eastern third of Syria, which is known as Rojava. But in the western two-thirds of Syria, they've wiped out just about every airfield there is. And Syria has been trying to fix those. So they've been, patching them over, right? And they've gotten them about the time they get them fixed up and so that they can take aircraft traffic again, Israel just flies in there and puts another few craters in their runway. It doesn't, it has the ability, Syria has Russian SAMs, surface-to-air missiles, all around, like SA-300, SA-400, all the way around their airport in Damascus. And yet, Israel can fly in there at will and drop bombs on that airport. You ever wonder why? Well, it's because Israel has F-35s. F-35 strike fighters are essentially invisible to that kind of radar system. And it says a lot about, it tells us a lot, if we wanted to know, about what would happen if the United States ever became militarily engaged directly with Russia. because this is some of the best Russia has to offer in terms of air defense, and our F-35 just sails right through it like nothing. So you can bet that the United States is watching all of this and taking notes, without a doubt. They are watching and taking notes. But Israel is definitely committed to making sure that the Iranians are not able to get weapons into Lebanon through Syria. And, you know, Syria can't do a darn thing about it. They really can't. They don't have an expeditionary military that would be able to, you know, maybe come down and invade Israel. They have precious little in the way of missiles and rockets that can make it that far. They've been fighting a bloody civil war for more than 10 years. They've lost a third of their country, more or less, to both Turkey and the Kurds. Either Turkey or the Kurds, I guess is the right way to say that. And other than getting a little help from Russia, the Syrians are just kind of having to sit on their hands in this one. Israel, as I reported when I did my live over on the Hot Zone, you can follow my reporting also over on the Hot Zone, my YouTube channel. Please go over there and subscribe. It would certainly help me if you would do so. And while you're at it, like this video right down below here. If you hit that like button, it makes the pipe cleaner necks at YouTube go, oh, somebody likes this video. And then they show it to more people, to people that don't subscribe, that may not have ever known about CBN before these lives started. As a matter of fact, if you're watching right now and you found CBN because of these live broadcasts that I'm doing, would you put, you know, just write me in the comment down there? Because I would be very interested to know. I'm showing 880 concurrent viewers at the moment. I'd be very interested to know how many of the 880 people watching actually found CBN because of these broadcasts. And that's great, because I want to show that to my boss at CBN and say, aha, look, these things they're effective. But what that shows is that if you can go and hit the like button and subscribe down there and even leave a comment, that makes YouTube, the algorithm, show it to more people that would never have found us otherwise. And that's really, really good for CBN. And so it gets the word out, right? Look at that, folks. Look how many people have found us because of these broadcasts. That's really awesome. And Connie says she found CBN because of my podcast. Well, okay, that counts as well. It goes both directions. So anyway, I appreciate that very much. And so the question is, what is going to happen in Yemen? They're calling up, they're mobilizing, drafting tens of thousands of fighters. But as far as I know, nobody's planning on invading Yemen. There's nothing to invade. It's just dirt. So what are they going to do? They're going to call these guys up and give them all weapons. They're going to run around the desert and get dehydrated and then go back home, I guess. If you want to see video of how many guys they called up, this is astounding. Go to my webpage, chuckholton.com. I put the video up over there. If I show it to you here, for some reason, the algorithm likes to demonetize the video. So like I can show you a map of, let's see if I have a map here. No, that's not it. There it is. I can show you a map of the northern border of Israel, and we can talk about that, and that shouldn't be a problem. They might not demonetize me for that one, but for some reason, if I show you the videos that are readily available out there, they tend to demonetize me. So you'll have to go over to my webpage and watch those. But while we're on this map, let's take a look here. You see the green up at the top is Lebanon. The green at the bottom is Jordan. The red on the right is Syria. And the kind of hash-marked blue area along the border with Lebanon is the area that has been evacuated of Israeli residents And there's about 80,000 people who are currently staying in hotels and have been for several months now because they can't live close to that border because of all the rockets that are coming across there. Now, Israel has been striking hard inside Lebanon over the last 2 days. They have been absolutely pounding Lebanon. I had a, let's see here. No, that's not it. I had another map that showed that from Live UA Mapper. You can go to Live UA Map and see it for yourself. I thought I had it up here. No, it's not up there. Well, anyway, this map will have to do. If you look at this map, what you'll see here is, again, that buffer zone where they've asked people to leave. Now, they're not forcing them to leave. So some people are still there. And I've driven all along inside that checkmark area. The area with the slashes to the right of the River Jordan. So if you look from the Sea of Galilee there at the bottom, that's Lake Tiberias. And the river goes north. River Jordan goes south out of there, but that river going north out of there. To the right of that is what they call the demilitarized zone. So there's a fence. If you drive up the east side of the Sea of Galilee, you can see there's a tiny little strip of land there. And you can drive up there and then drive right along that. There's a fence there. And about halfway up is the town of Quneitra. So that's kind of no man's land in there. And the only people in there are pretty much bad people. People that, like those Hashishabi, Iranian-backed militias from Iraq that have moved over there. But they just recently caught Jordan. Look, again, the green down in the bottom is Jordan. They just recently caught some smugglers trying to get weapons across the border from Syria into Jordan. Why would they do that? Why are they trying to get weapons into Jordan? Well, because they're trying to take them down and give them to guys in the West Bank. And Jordan stopped them. They actually conducted an airstrike on the smugglers right down there in that northern tip of Jordan and killed a bunch of smugglers that were bringing weapons in. Now, Jordan is I pointed this out in the other live I did, Jordan is a Palestinian kind of country. The queen of Jordan, Queen Aliyah, is Palestinian. They call themselves the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The Hashemites are the ones that wear the red and white checkered keffiyehs. The Palestinians wear the black and white checkered keffiyehs. But there are something like, I don't know, 1 million Palestinians or more inside Jordan, maybe 2 million. And that are, they say refugees there. But if the Palestinians wanted to go somewhere and have their own country, they could easily go to Jordan and they could pretty much call it their own country. I don't know what the king of Jordan would have to say about that, but it's more likely that they would have their own country in Jordan than it is that they're going to have all of Israel. I can promise you that. So without a doubt, Jordan does not want to get involved in this conflict. And we know that because they've stayed out of it virtually completely. They have made noises that, it's wrong what Israel is doing to Gaza and they need to stop, they need a ceasefire. But they have not allowed large groups of Palestinians that wanted to go from Jordan into the West Bank in order to protest to cross the border. The Jordanian police stopped them from crossing that border. And now we see the Jordanian police actually going kinetic against weapon smugglers coming out of Syria, trying to get weapons into the West Bank. That is a very good sign, folks. That's a very good sign. When, diehard Muslims, and, in Jordan, it's a pretty progressive Muslim country. I mean, women don't have to cover their hair, although it's still probably a good idea. women at the hotel that I was at in Jordan a few days ago, or a week or so ago, there were women in bikinis that were swimming at the beach, but they were getting an awful lot of attention from the Jordanian men who were there, and I think, felt kind of uncomfortable about that. So you can easily say or see that although there are a lot of people in Jordan who undoubtedly support the Palestinians and support Hamas even, as a country, Jordan does not want to get involved in this fight. And they have a peace treaty with Israel. So I have been able to go back and forth in and out of Jordan 4 times in the last several months with no problems. Nobody threatened me. Everybody's very kind and as a matter of fact, I hate to say this, but Jordanians are much nicer people by and large, than Israelis are. And I'm probably going to get some flack for that. But in my experience, Jordanians their Bedouin, kind of background makes them unbelievably hospitable. And, Israelis tend to be kind of prickly. And I think once you get to know Israelis, they become every bit as hospitable as the Jordanians. But at first, because maybe they're surrounded by people who want to kill them, the Israelis tend to be a little hard-shelled, let's say. I'm not saying anything bad about Israel. I'm just saying what I've noticed. You go to Jordan and people are like, welcome, 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 welcome. They just can't welcome you enough to their country because they want you there and they want your money. Israelis don't need your money. And so in many cases, they don't really want you there unless they're working in the tourism business or something. So that's been my own, personal experience there, okay? I cannot blame them for that, again, because they're surrounded by people that want to kill them, and that would tend to make me a little prickly, without a doubt, right? And so there's that. Now let's go to some questions. Let's see here. And we'll take a few questions before we go. If you have a question, ask it now. Let's see. Thank you for the Merry Christmas wishes. If you want to see these things live, I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I always miss them live." What you can do is you can go to that subscribe button down there, and it's a 2-step process. If you want to be notified when we're going live, you have to hit the subscribe button, then you have to hit that little notification bell to the right of the subscribe button, and you have to check all notifications. And then when we schedule a live, I usually schedule them a half hour ahead of time. When I schedule a live, then you can get notified immediately once it's scheduled and be there and watch this thing live. So make sure you do that if you want to catch these things live. And somebody donated the 350 ZAR. I'm not sure what ZAR are, but thank you very much. It's very kind. Herman, tell me what country you're from, would you? ZAR, is that Zimbabwean something? What? Thanks for your honest information from Victoria, Australia. When the nuffies type Free Palestine, I always follow up with yes from Hamas. Yes, that's good. I always just have to ask people, what do you mean? When you say Free Palestine, what do you mean? Canon Lens and Camera said, would you do a debate with Scott Ritter? Maybe. I don't know if it'd be worth it. Scott Ritter is catering to people who want to hear what he is saying. But I'll just say that Scott Ritter doesn't go to the places that he portends to be an expert about. He does not get on the ground intelligence himself. And he has been consistently wrong on both Ukraine and Israel since the beginning of both of those conflicts. So there's that. And so has Colonel McGregor for the most part. Do you think that hostages are still alive? I don't know about the babies or the women, but I'm sure that there are some hostages still alive. They've actually shown videos of some of them recently. ZAR is South Africa? Okay. ZAR. Is that... Oh, I thought they were rands. Anyway. Okay, from New York. I'm watching on my birthday. Happy birthday, Sunstar. I hope you're younger than I am. Okay, we got, yeah, please put your questions in all caps because it makes it a lot easier to go through here. Let's see here. Yeah, it was about 20 bucks. Okay. Thank you very much. I really hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas. We will probably take the next few days off over the weekend. I'll probably do one more podcast tomorrow, and then we'll take the weekend off through Christmas and increase my volume if I can. Well, let's see, how's that? I don't want to blow out if I'm watching my levels here, and I start to go too high if I increase the volume too much. There's usually two ways that you can increase the volume on a YouTube video. One way is through on your computer. You can increase the volume on your computer. And the second way is on the video itself. There's a volume thing that you can slide. And you can increase the volume that way. All right. Well, do you think that they are alive? I do think that the hostages are alive. They are very valuable to Hamas. Hamas has every reason to try to keep them alive. And unless they have died accidentally or something like that, there's no reason why Hamas would want to kill them. Okay, is it true they're branding hostages? I've not heard anything about branding hostages. I think you have to be careful about information like that. I'm pretty sure I would have heard if they were branding hostages, but maybe I missed that one. If you've seen a news article about that, then please send it to me. One thing I do want to point out, I've been getting several people send me this news article lately about that Israel is using neutron bombs in Gaza. Have any of you seen that one? The hostage count is just a little over 130. They believe at least 20 of those are dead. It's like 131, I think, at this point. They have found some bodies, so it was 137. And the number of live hostages is probably around 110, something like that, based on the knowledge that the IDF has put out. So there's this rumor going around that Israel is using neutron bombs in Gaza to kill Gazan citizens. Well, go do a little bit of research on neutron bombs. First of all, the website that I found that I think is the patient zero, the source where this stuff was first put out, is a website that is known for being a repository for Russian propaganda and has been used a lot during the war in Ukraine by Russian, propagandists to put out false information. So I wouldn't believe it specifically because of that. At least I would be very cautious about believing it. But secondly, it just doesn't make sense. There's no real reason for Israel to use a neutron bomb on the people in Gaza. There's no real reason for them to do it because of the, imagine if that actually got out and it was true. And there was proof that they're using neutron bombs in there, a nuclear bomb of sorts. And, what the international backlash would be against Israel. It would be so much, it would negate whatever benefits they might get from using the neutron bomb to begin with. So they're not using neutron bombs in Israel or in Gaza. Trust me on that one. What bomb is it? Destroys humans but not the buildings without radiation? I think that is what they're talking about. Have you seen that Roman with Epic Times did a video on Armenia? Yes, a lot of people have been sending me these videos about what's going on in Armenia with 120,000 people being driven out of their homes in the Nagorno-Karabakh. These are ethnic Armenians. They're Christians. They're being driven out by Muslims out of their ancestral homeland and forced to go into Armenia proper. And they, so many people have been sending that to me. Have you seen this? And I'm like, I've been reporting on this. I was literally in Armenia reporting on this when October 7th happened. I've been reporting on this since the 2020 war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. I made a movie about that war and about Armenia that came out this last June and has won a dozen film awards. So yes, I am very familiar with what's going on in Artsakh, and I have been reporting on it a lot. And if you go back and do any reading or look back through any of my videos on my YouTube channel, you'll see dozens and dozens of stories that I've done about this issue. And I am currently working on another documentary that will specifically, address that, right? Chuck, what's your goals for the next 5 years? Maybe running for office or state position? Dania, let me just say one thing. There are not enough Secret Service agents in the world to protect me from my wife if I ever run for office. And so, no, I'm not going to run for office. What film industry am I in? I've made 65 documentaries and a lot of news for the last 20 years. And M. Israel Chai, Iris Toro, very kind of you. I think nice of you to say that. When I first heard people saying that, I was thinking, these people's English is really bad. And yes, they do have chai in Israel. I don't know why they keep asking if Israel has chai. Look up Tommy Robinson's in the UK at Oxford University. Okay, I'll have to go look that up. Okay, if you have a link, email it to me, hotzoneholton@gmail.com, and I will take a look at it. If you'd like to get a hold of me there over on my email, feel free. Please don't call me. If you dig around the internet long enough, you might be able to find my phone number. And I've been getting a few calls from people. Yesterday, I got a call from somebody that said, oh, hey, I'm just driving through West Virginia, and I thought maybe I'd come to your house and hang out for a while. And I was like, dude, I don't know you from a bale of hay, man. You're not coming to my house. Besides, I got my family here. And I'm not trying to be impolite or anything, but yeah, how about we get to know each other remotely first? Then maybe you can come by my house next time. Or come on one of my trips. You want to get to know me? You can come travel with me. We got trips going. We have a trip coming up in October going to Israel and Jordan. And we will open up the signups for that. Listen to me. We will open up signups for the Israel trip in January. So you don't need to send me an email and ask me when I'm going to take signups for that, because I did this on yesterday, and I said that, like, I'm going to open it up in January. Had a bunch of people email me and say, when are you going to open it up? So what are my goals for the next 5 years? That sounds like a great thing for me to do on my own podcast and not on CBN's time. So go over to Hot Zone, the Hot Zone here on YouTube with Chuck Holton, and you can maybe hear me talk about my goals for the coming year. How long did you think the war in Israel will last? I think it will last a year or more. Yeah, watch my movie, Armenia, A Love Story. You can go to armeniamovie.com and you can get it there. If you want to see the movie about Armenia. How much does it cost to go on the Israel trip? It's going to be about $3,000 a person. I don't have the exact cost nailed down yet, but we're still working on that. So that will not include airfare. So you'd have to get yourself to Israel, and then it's $3,000 for the 10-day trip through Jordan and Israel. more or less $3,000. That just depends on how good of a deal I can get on things like hotels. No, my movie, Armenia, A Love Story, is not on YouTube. It is only on armeniamovie.com. Yeah. I know, look, my sound is up as high as I can get it right now because it is going to start over modulating if I make it any higher. So I'm sorry if you can't hear it. Let's see. Have I ever tried Earl Grey flambe? No, I have not. So I would meet you in Israel. Yeah, you can do that. Come meet me in Israel. When will the USA wake up and deal with Russia? That's a very good question, Cannon. Do you think other countries like Iran will attack Israel if Hamas falls? No, I don't. And I think that what we have seen in Jordan makes it pretty clear. What we've heard from Hassan Nasrallah, the commander of Hezbollah, is made it pretty clear. They don't really want to get involved. They are trying to lend moral support to Hamas, but they by firing a few rockets here and there, but they do not want to get, yeah, they do not want to get fully kinetically involved with Israel. They just don't. That may still happen because Israel is, I think, prepping the battlefield to possibly go into Lebanon and take on Hezbollah directly. But yeah, they don't want to get. They don't want to get involved, I don't think, any more than they already are. Somebody else said, let's see, how long the war will last. Yeah, I did that. I think it'll probably last at least a year. And Carla, thank you very much. I think we need to remind people that Israel is spelled I-S-R-A-E-L, not I-S-R-E-A-L. It's not Israel. It's Israel. Think of it that way, Israel, because about half the people who send me emails misspell the name of the country that they're asking me about. And so it's not any criticism. It's just a public service announcement that if you want to know how to correctly spell Israel, think Israel with an A. Can I find the shipwreck? I can't find the film, The Shipwreck of Paul. Okay, let me see if I can real quick put that up. I tell you what, I will put a link to The Shipwreck of Paul up on my webpage, chuckholton.com, as soon as we get done here. I'll go find it, and I will put up the link to The Shipwreck of Paul. It's on Amazon, and you should be able to find it. And so I'll give you a link. Has Jordan sent light armor to the Israel border? No, I have not seen any armor lined up on the border with Israel. There is, of course, border police, military, along the border. And there are a lot of checkpoints that you go through as you drive north and south along the King's Highway in Jordan. But they're not, I don't think they are moving any military forces up to the border. Okay? Seaback, tell your mother thank you for watching CBN for decades. And Morton Bergstrom, thank you for whatever you said in Armenian there. If you want to know how hard it is to read Armenian, look at Morton Bergstrom's comment right there with the two hearts. It looks like unululu hulununululu, and it's one of the hardest languages on earth to learn, which is why I'm learning Russian and not Armenian, because I have a son and daughter-in-law who live in Armenia, and so we go there 3-4 times a year. And I know a few words in Armenian, but I can make myself understood in Russian if I have to, although they're going to probably hate me for it if I do. Okay, so that's about it for today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Can Israel move all Gaza people to West Bank? Cannon, there's a reason why that would not be a great idea. Israel built this multi-billion-dollar wall between them and Gaza because of Hamas, because Hamas hated them so much and was so vehemently and militantly committed to killing Israelis that they needed that wall. They're not about to take the remnants of, the Palestinians in Gaza and move them into the West Bank, which is inside Israel and does not have a wall. That would be a really bad thing to do as far as they're concerned. What I keep saying is, well, if they're going to move anybody, they ought to move just women and children, perhaps, into the West Bank. There are plenty of empty houses in the West Bank that have been built with American donor money, but they're not going to do that, of course. Israel is still, I think, in talks with Egypt to try to get Egypt to take Gazans across the border into Egypt, at least for a time, so that they can finish the job in Gaza. But Egypt does not want to do that for various reasons. One being they would be likely to stay. Two would be they would be likely to commit terror in Egypt. Three, Egyptians and Palestinians don't get along that well. And four, even though Egypt has a peace treaty with Israel, they don't want to do Israel any favors if they can get away with it. So they're going to push back on that, even though they have plenty of space in the Sinai, and they could move all the Palestinians over there if they wanted to. But is that a Freemason symbol on my shirt? No, I'm not a Freemason. This is the unit crest of the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is the unit that I spent 4 years in back 100 years ago when I was a young man, and much younger and faster and skinnier and maybe not quite as smart. So, yeah, there are Christians in Gaza, just not very many. And unfortunately, Israel is not going to differentiate between Christians or Muslims or secular people in Gaza. They're going to lump them all together. Okay, so that's it. Let's say a prayer and we will get out of here, and I'm going to go spend some time with my grandbabies. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to come and talk more about this issue, to get more well-versed on the intricacies of the conflict. That's important for us, Lord, because there are so many people who are so ill-informed that have big platforms, and they're out there spewing misinformation and leading people astray. I pray that the people that are listening to this podcast would have the opportunity to set somebody straight about Israel and to help turn the tide of public opinion in Israel's favor. Father, I pray for the people in Israel that they would cry out to you and you would be their God. You would be so real to them, and that they would have no option but to give you credit for what you're doing in their country, in them and in Gaza. I pray for the innocent people in Gaza, and I ask, Lord, that you would just put your loving arms around them, that you would protect them and get them to a safe place, that you would make the world more compassionate toward the situation in Israel and in Gaza, and in a way that they could actually find a real, tangible peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians, because we know Israel can't kill their way out of this. And so I just pray that they would find a way to love their way out of this. And I pray that there would be forgiveness on both sides, because only with forgiveness we know, Lord, can anything change, can hearts begin to change. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, folks, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. And we'll be back again. Let's see, I'll probably do quick hit the like button if you haven't already. I'll probably be back tomorrow morning sometime, and then we'll take the weekend off for Christmas. And if I don't see you before then, may all of you have a very, very Merry Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, why not? Why not? If you're not a Christian, why not? If you're not a Christian and you don't celebrate Christmas, you can celebrate Christmas anyway. And it's fun. It's great. It's It is a wonderful, wonderful time of the year. It's a time that we sit around and just spend time contemplating the love that God has for us, to send his son to be born, to live a sinless life, and to die in our place so that we can spend eternity with him. There's nothing better than that. So God bless y'all. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow, I hope. Bye-bye.